and what we need to do to keep evolving into living as well as thriving in our Blackness. My mother did not graduate from college. My father lost both his legs in Vietnam. From the time I was born, I was taught that service was not an option, it was a duty. I've been standing at podiums like this since I was 9 at NAACP rallies, Black Caucus meetings, and Black Artists Guild gatherings. Being Black is not something I had a choice in, but being Black is something I do proudly. I am the first African American female at Middlebury College to ever receive tenure. And it is not because I'm the best, it's not because I'm the brightest, but it's because I was raised as a dancer for the last 31 years of my life, and what I do know how to do is get through uncomfortable situations. Splits are not comfortable. Rehearsals are not comfortable. Doing the same thing every day with the ideal of getting better is not habit, it's ritual. And that's what Blackness has evolved into. A ritual of cultural gatherings, a ritual of evolving ourselves as people from nothing into something, and a ritual of taking what we're eating tonight, the worst, the scraps of something, and making them into something delicious. Yep. That is what soul food comes from. It is not about having the best, but it's about making the best out of any situation. It's improvisational. It's filled with something that is imbued with spirit. And that Blackness, in this day and age, has become up for grabs. We often see people standing behind podiums like this and we think, oh, they're on the mountain, but we don't think about the climb. When I decided I was going to be a professional dancer, I actually decided I was going to be a dance teacher because I didn't think I was good enough to be a professional dancer. And I wanted to go back to my little hometown and be the first Black dance teacher. I just shared with you that I did become the first Black dance teacher somewhere else in another little town. So you want to make God laugh, you make a plan. Blackness is not a limitation, it's an opportunity. In the Tao Te Ching, which some of you may have read, Blackness is the void from which everything comes. It is not necessarily an empty hole, it is not the absence of light. It is the beginning of light. Blackness can be construed as the saturation of every color combined, or it can be construed to be nothing at all. So in living this out, in living this Blackness, you get to decide, right? My son will get to decide who he's going to be in this world. In this next decade of my life, I will get to decide who I'm going to be. Christal 3.0 will be coming soon. Right? In all of the ideas that my students have about being Black and about how they show themselves and represent themselves to the world, and then bring that together in what I like to call centrophy. We think that Blackness is broken apart with this idea called diaspora, right? A fracturing of the whole. But what happens when all the pieces are aware of each other? What happens when every piece that has been broken away from the center finds its way back to something that feels connected? That's centrophy. That's where you are. That's what this idea of meta-Blackness in post-racialism is. It's you having the information that not only gets you to see the larger picture, but it can also point you back to your immediate source, and not some large source like Africa, but a specific source. Grandmothers, great-grandmothers, ancestry that goes through tireless lineage to represent itself to you, and then you can go back and put that all together, stand in your truth, say this is who I am, this is where I come from, and not only that, but this is where I'm going as an individual, as a culture, as a people. Sometimes when people think you're so good at what you do, they can't give you good advice. So if you're ever the smartest person at your table, in your room, I suggest you find another table and find another room. So I just want to thank you for allowing me to share these thoughts with you, but mostly I want to challenge you in the next week, the next day, the next month, the next few years. What is going going to be your reflection of your Blackness? Is it trite? Is it commercial? Is it manufactured? Or is it authentic? Is it something you can be when no one else is looking? Is it something you can be that won't get you too many followers and too many likes? Is it something you can be that will change the circumstances of the people and the generations who come after you? In living out your Blackness, may you always be true to yourself. May you always contribute to your community. And may you always be thriving at your highest potential. Thank you.